Good afternoon, everybody. We're just waiting for a few more minutes. People are logging in, so just bear with us. We'll start in a few minutes. Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar series called From Strategy to Operation. Our subject today, enter a new era for finance transformation. And more precisely, we want to talk about your journey through digital transformation and CPM 2.0. As mentioned on the webinar invite, the presentation will be held in English. So on that note, I would like to have a few words in French. Mesdames, Messieurs, comme vous le savez déjà, chez RCGT, on est très fiers de pouvoir servir dans les deux langues officielles de la province. Aujourd'hui, par contre, l'étendue de notre auditoire dépasse largement les frontières de notre belle province. Alors, nous avons donc choisi de présenter ce webinaire en anglais. Par contre, sachez que tout le matériel présenté aujourd'hui est également disponible en français, sera envoyé par courriel à tous ceux qui en font la demande. Vous n'avez qu'à faire la demande dans la section Q&A en inscrivant bien votre adresse courriel. Merci de votre compréhension. Please note that the chat room is closed on today's presentation. You are welcome to ask your question in the Q&A section. As time permits, we are going to provide answers, but probably won't be able to answer them all. So make sure you write down your email address with your questions so that we can make sure that you receive an answer. Thank you. So let me introduce you to my two colleagues with whom I have the pleasure to present you today. Guillaume Yanouzi.
Hello, I'm Guillaume. So I joined the RCGT in 2022. I have vast experience in implementing EPM solutions for planning, budgeting, profitability, cost management, and etc., and supporting the finance director into streamlining their process.
And we also have with us Stephen Cromwell.
Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Cromwell. I am with OneStream Software. I'm in the pre-sales department supporting our North American partners like our CGT. So I'm excited to present with them on this webinar today.
Thank you, Steve. And many of you already know me, but for those who don't, I'm Normand Hull, partner in management consulting at our CGT. Out of my 25 plus years of experience, the last 15 years have been focused in the CPM world. Helping organizations of various sizes, deploying and getting maximum value out of their CPM tool. Let's talk a little bit about Raymond Chabot Grant Thornton. So many of you know us as the biggest accounting firm in the province of Quebec. And you know what? You are right. We are a brand, one of the most recognized brands in Quebec. We have more than 2,600 professionals working for our CGT. I have the pleasure to serve more than 50,000 clients in over 100 offices spread over the province of Quebec. But we are way more than that. We are also part of Grant Thornton International, which has a global presence around the world. It means that we're able to support our local customers and understand their current and future needs or concerns. And we are also able to service the ones that are looking abroad. So the ones that want to expand nationally or internationally and would like to benefit from our services, our presence on their side along their journey. We can service our client in many different areas, audit, of course, but also in taxes, R&D, financial advisory, recovery and reorganization, and of course, our digital and technology advisory services. I could probably entertain you the whole hour on the different service offerings that we have within our digital and technology practices. VARs for cybersecurity, or MYRIAD that we just acquired to help you get compliant with Bill 25, and many, many more. To learn more about our digital service offering, you should register to our webinar series. or the Google method, communicate with us by email or by phone. And we're always very happy to take a moment and exchange with you guys. Now let's focus on our financial solution deployment services. So on that slide from right to left, we have a cash management practice where we support our client optimizing their cash management processes. We also help organizations deploying treasury management application and getting value out of the automation of their treasury processes. Same for our robotic process automation practice, where we support our client from A to Z, from the vision and the strategy to adapt to the design and the build of the solution, the bots. And finally, our EPM practice, where we help you select and deploy EPM solution for financial consolidation, FP&E, financial and management reporting, and dashboarding. So please note that we are partnered with OneStream and ACP. We deploy or have deployed both CPM tools. I feel that this is very important for you to understand that we know both technologies, as we are going to talk about them and compare their capabilities into our presentation. Driving value by enabling digital capabilities. More precisely again, we want to talk about digital transformation and CPM 2.0. So let's take a step back. I want to make sure you understand why today's subject should get your attention. As you all know, as finance leaders, we often face a diversity of challenges at the same time. For external forces, we have to deal with external factors that impact us from outside the walls of our organizations, like the recent pandemic, or the geopolitical forces that can impact consumer demand and supply chains. Internal complexity. Of course, we have to deal with internal complexities with more and more enterprise systems, integrating those systems and making sure that they all synchronize for reporting and analysis. Additionally, a modern finance team have to help the entire organization move away from siloed decision-making. Silo that can happen within the line of business or function. Access to data and insight might also be siloed. So any silo within the organization would result in a lack of agility to quickly react when a decision has to be made. While we all experience different challenges, here is what we hear from you guys. Your vision of your finance team. So we want to be a modern finance team where we create insights for the whole organization. We want to be a great business partner. While accuracy of data is essential, of course, let's keep everything around it as simple and standard as possible. No need, no time for complexities. Third, we want to build an efficient organization where all line of businesses and all functions within the organization are aligned. And finally, process and system that the business is building its foundation on must be solid and flexible so that it can support any future decision. So acquisition, investment, the investment, building a new plan, creating a new line of business, etc., etc. So with all the challenges that we have to face and the expectation of becoming a modern finance team, how can we keep up with everything? With the right CPM tool, of course. CPM tools have evolved. Our goal today is to inform you on what you should expect from your CPM tool. Guillaume will guide you through the evolution and roadmap of the CPM tool and how it compares now to what you should expect from a modern CPM tool. Guillaume?
Yes. So here's what CPM might look like in your organization. You have your financial consolidation, planning and budgeting, tax provision, profitability, and etc. All those systems, they're separate, right? They need to be integrated. They're integrated either with the ERP because you have your consolidation that requires a certain set of data, but your workforce planning requires a different set of data. So they need to get access to that data. They're also integrated with each other because a consolidation needs to provide actual to the planning and budgeting system and etc. So all this fragmentation requires integration, and those integration, which are represented by all the lines that you see on the screen, they are two things: high cost. Why are they high cost? Because firstly, they need maintenance, technology maintenance, business maintenance. You need to redo the mapping. You need to make sure it works at all times. The other high cost for an organization is within the business line there directly because it costs time. You need those integration to run in the back end to provide the correct level of data to each of the systems, which means that you have your financial analysts working on those systems. The other thing that these lines represent is a risk. Risk of what? Not working. If those integrations don't work, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, you lose time and you face the risk of not being able to meet your deadlines. So all those integrated suite that the editor provide you, they're not so integrated at the end of the day because they're all different products. So SAP's approach to EPM solution, their first iteration. So basically what we have is BPC for consolidation and planning. Then we have profitability, account reconciliation, and etc. This slide really highlights what's the problem today with EPM 1.0. It's all fragmented, and it's basically bigger editors buying smaller editors and having a lot of different products that brings complexity under one umbrella that they call EPM or CPM. But SAP did fix the problem, didn't they? They provided a new approach to EPM, but really they didn't. They were late to the market, and the products are still fragmented. First, you have the SAP group reporting for consolidation, but it's tied to S/4HANA for finance. Then you have for the FP&A, SAP Planning and Analytics Cloud. So what that means is that contrary to the prior approach that both products were in BPC, they now require additional integrations. So if we look at the next slide, it provides a good example of what it looks like today. Very similar to the 1.0 approach, right? A lot of integration, a lot of different risk elements with this integration. So SAP is moving to a single solution that we had in the past, BPC, to a multi-solution strategy. Back to CPM 1.0, we might say. So should we expect more from CPM 2.0? So we have identified 5 steps to unleashing the business. First, know the finance leader, know the business. Modern finance leader should know what their business partner need. They must understand their need and answer it with technology. Drive agility in planning and forecasting. So basically, that's one of the most simple ones. The business analyst, and even at all the level, they should have time to available to for their analysis, their scenario, modeling, and decision making. Modern finance maximize that time by focusing on the right metrics. I'm just gonna take a quick sip. The next one is they need to streamline the financial close. So basically, as you all know, during the month-end process, the faster you can do the financial close, the faster you can provide your FP&A team with the actuals, the faster they will provide the executive with their metrics, and after, the faster they'll be able to do good decision making. If they don't have that data available as soon as possible, it may cost the company a lot at the end of the day because they were not able to make decisions fast enough. The third one is automate reporting. So a good CPM 2.0 tool should be able to provide a good BI and reporting tool. And it should be easy for users to design, automate, and distribute reports to all the different population. If they're investor, shareholder, and etc., it should be easy for them to do so. And finally, leverage advanced analytics. So after taking steps to simplify and automate the critical process, finance can deploy advanced analytics into the forecasting process, leverage CPM 2.0 platform to build forecast scenario to understand the sensitivity to business drivers, opportunities, and risk. So now I'll let Stephen show you the better approach to CPM 2.0 with OneStream.
Thanks, Guillaume. Yeah, so today I'm going to spend the remainder of the webinar talking about how OneStream really exemplifies this CPM 2.0 concept. Now, we saw the slide previously with all of the connections back and forth and how complicated that can be. By the way, we have a value transformation team here at OneStream who estimates that 80% of the effort in these CPM processes is in that tying together of the system. So it is much more of an endeavor than one would think as you go into this. So this is the problem that OneStream has been very successful at solving. So we take all of the major performance management functions, close and consolidation, planning, budgeting, forecasting, reporting, et cetera, and we have them within one single platform. So we take all of the master data and metadata from as many source systems as necessary. We are able to clean it up, transform it, standardize it, and then we use that perfectly aggregated data across multiple solutions. So again, from OneStream, you're able to perform all of your actuals work. You can do all of your planning and forecasting. All of the reporting is available here as well. So there's no additional need to kick information out to a BI tool or a reporting engine. And all of the reporting in OneStream allows the target audiences to see exactly the level of detail that they need to see to be effective. So whether that's high-level financial statement detail or low-level transactional detail, we can bring it all in and present it in any way that a company needs it to be presented in order to further manage the business. So importantly, with OneStream, there's no need to maintain this complex web of integrations and software contracts because everything, thanks for the reminder, appreciate that. Because everything performance management related is done in our single unified platform. So what I want to do is talk a little bit more specifically about the unique differentiators within the platform. So the single platform approach is our biggest differentiator, but I want to talk about a few more things within that really, really drive that concept of CPM 2.0. So the first is going to be our data integrity and our guided workflows. So quite simply, OneStream is the best financial data engine on the planet. We bring in data from customer ERPs as well as other systems. And these systems could be point of sale systems for retail organizations, or they can be personnel data from HR systems. It doesn't matter, anything that customers want as part of their financial model, we can bring in. Because we're bringing in so much data, the quality of that data is key to everything that we do. Our founder actually had invented FDM for Hyperion way back in the 2000s. And then after having the opportunity to learn through that experience, he was able to build something new as OneStream, making it better, easier, and more flexible. So data comes into the platform and a process gets built around that data. And we call that process workflow. Workflows can be built to cater to your processes as well as people so that you can make sure that every step is done along the way. Think of workflows as guardrails to ensure that every process, whether that be the actuals process at the end of the month or the budgeting process annually, it's to ensure that every process gets done completely correctly. Now, what you're seeing here is an example close process workflow. I'm not going to go through this. Instead, I'd rather go into the platform and show you a little bit of a demo to show you what this would look like. So I'm going to jump into OneStream. And just to set the stage, I am going into OneStream as a regional controller, the Houston controller. Now, this is a fictional company called Gulfstream, which provides goods and services to the golf industry. In Houston, we manufacture golf clubs, and I have two entities in my realm, Houston Heights and South Houston. So when I come into OneStream, I'm actually this is my homepage. This is the task manager. Now the task manager is a marketplace marketplace solution. I'll talk about that in just a little bit, but it's a marketplace solution that leverages our dashboard functionality to provide a full glimpse of all of the processes in my area. I'm able to sort by, if I wanted to see what's going on with the actuals process, I can do that. If I want to look at my budget process, I can certainly do that. I can see my tasks by preparation status, by approval status, by due date, etc. So for example, I can see here that I have a couple of past due tasks in my close process. If I look at that, I can drill into it and see the actual tasks. These are plant meetings. Now, these aren't system related tasks, but we can track anything in OneStream. So whether that be something that needs to be done within the platform or something done completely apart from it, we can track it so that to make sure that every step gets done. So I know that we did these plant meetings yesterday. So I'll just go ahead and complete these, and you'll see my dashboard update in real time. I no longer have any past due tasks. Now, I can see this information by a Gantt chart as well. I can see things by workday as well as dependencies. And you can tell by the green check marks here that right now I'm in the process of loading my GL trial balance from my ERP. When I select this task, I have some description information, I have timestamps and audit trails here. One important thing to note is there's not a single thing that can be added, deleted, changed in OneStream that we're not timestamping or user stamping. So auditability and security are very, very high on our list of priorities, and you can see that throughout the platform. I can see comments and attachments. I can see my dependents. So if there's anything that needs to be done prior to me doing this task, I can see exactly what status those things are and get in touch with the right person to move it along if it's not completed yet. So I'm going to go ahead and execute this. And this is going to bring me to that concept of workflow that I talked about before. So in this case, this is a 5-step workflow as indicated by the 5 chevrons up along the top. In advance of the webinar, I preloaded the file, but again, we can bring in information from a variety of ways. We can do direct database connections. That's the best way. It's the easiest. It could be automated. I think something like 70% of our customers today are leveraging a direct database connection. We can bring it in via API-based data transfers. We can do flat files through connectors or even manual flat files. In this case, I actually just loaded a file. I can see that file here, just a kind of a rudimentary trial balance. I have my accounts, my cost centers, my descriptions, my balances, my orgs, etc. Now, the important thing is OneStream learns how to read these documents completely, eliminating things like headers and footers and just taking the important pieces out of it. And when we load these documents, we create a staging table here. So now this is all of the information that we have just brought in. So now we've created a stage table, and now is the part where we're going to do some transformations. So I'm actually going to validate it. And this is where we're looking at, does this information, are we familiar with this information? Do we know what to do with it? And when I validate it, you can see here that I have a transformation error. Now, what this is telling me is that we've brought in a source account from that trial balance file that we don't recognize as part of our account dimension here in OneStream. So what I can do, I know this is a petty cash account, so I'll go ahead and pull my petty cash account and set that as the target. Now, when I save this, it's going to do 2 things. One, it's going to clear the error away, but more importantly, number 2 is we're going to create a transformation rule for future loads so that if we see that account again, we know exactly what to do with it. So with that, we've cleaned up any information that we don't quite know what to do with and created the transformation rule. Now it's time to take all of this relational stage data that we've just loaded and process it into our multidimensional financial model. This just takes a second here, but once we do this, then we're going to be able to access this data in a number of ways throughout the platform. The next step in this workflow is the confirmation step. Now, these are where you can create gates, so to speak, so that we can look at the data and make sure it makes sense from a business level. So one, like, does the balance sheet balance? Is my head count that I've submitted greater than 0? In this case, is my sales detail within $1,000 of my third-party sales value on my trial balance? I can see the details here. You can see there's a slight discrepancy here, but it's well within the $1,000. So we're going to go ahead and pass it anyway. But these are rules that can be put into place to ensure that the information is valid and it's good and it's ready to move on to reporting. Now, the last step in this particular workflow is the workspace. Now, this is a review step where on the left, I can see drafts of my financial statement pulled from the multidimensional financial model. But on the right, I can see the actual relational data that builds up to that, to this financial statement data. So for example, petty cash, for instance, I can see I have one account that maps right to that. However, cash deposits, you can see multiple accounts from my trial balance that build up to that cash deposits line. So I can review these. Income statement is the same thing. I can see my income statement lines along with the actual invoice details that I've loaded in from my sales detail step. So really just a review step. Once I'm comfortable with this information, I'm ready to just complete the review and kind of move on to the next step in my actuals process with a whole new workflow. So the important thing is these workflows can be created to meet any one of your financial processes. They can have as many or as few steps as needed to make sure that the data has integrity and it's valid and it gets to where it needs to be in the process. So those are workflows, again, just demonstrating how we can pull data. And the other important thing to remember is, again, it's not just ERP data. It can be anything in any of your systems that you want to be in part of the reporting. One example recently that we've seen a lot of is ESG. We have more and more customers wanting to bring in actual ESG data, so travel information, carbon emissions, things like that into our platform so that they can do planning on it or tracking of it alongside the financial data. And again, these are just a couple of examples of systems with whom we have integrated in the past. So now that we've seen how data flows into OneStream from all types of systems, we can discuss the technology behind that data. So throughout all of OneStream, there is embedded financial intelligence and business rules that are inherent to the platform. So for organizations using Excel or other less intelligent tools or legacy tools for close and consolidation, business rules need to be created and maintained in order to properly manage the data, as well as the eventual reporting from that data. So these rules include things like currency conversions and how currency is handled on a global level, intercompany eliminations, equity breakdowns. These are things that every company has to do as part of their closed process. So instead of leaving it up to them to build out these rules and the logic behind them, we actually went ahead and just made them part of the platform. So, for example, with intercompany eliminations, those are always done at the level of the first common parent. OneStream has that knowledge built in and can make that process automatic after trial balances are loaded into the platform with those accounts that are marked as intercompany. Currency translations, there's a ton of different ways you're going to want to handle it, but we have them all just pre-built out, and all you need to do is apply them so that the currency is handled exactly the way that a company needs them to be. We have a customer, the Terex Corporation, before joining OneStream, had 14,000 business rules that they needed to manage, and they were able to eliminate every single one of them just by moving into OneStream and taking advantage of the baked-in financial intelligence. So next thing I want to talk about is a concept that we call extensible dimensionality. Now, one of the biggest challenges in a complex performance management environment is supporting and enforcing corporate standards and controls, but also being able to provide a level of autonomy to each business unit or entity. Now, extensible dimensionality solves for this. It's the secret sauce of OneStream. It allows companies to design these multi-dimensional models that can cover the needs of every single aspect of the organization. So to show you an example of what I mean, let me demonstrate with a typical reporting structure. So here you see three different entities. We have our corporate reporting standard, we have manufacturing, and we have services. There's actually, the services entity is actually being broken down across two different scenarios, actual and budget. Now, traditionally, in order to be able to, have accounting structures that for each one of these unique permutations of entity and scenario, you would need to, do this in a separate spreadsheet, or have multiple instances of performance management, or have point solutions that can handle this. And all the while there's integration moving between those things. Now, OneStream has this inherent to the platform, this ability, because it allows companies to build out the dimensionality for the whole organization one time, but able to flex it to meet the needs of every stakeholder in the organization. So corporate, under net sales, has operating sales, intercompany sales, and returns and allowances. Manufacturing, on the other hand, needs to see a whole new level of detail under operating sales. They need to see third-party, OEM, subassembly, and part sales. Now, this is a level of detail that's important for manufacturing, but not critical for corporate. Services needs to see an entirely different set of accounts under operating sales. So they need to see management revenue, services revenue, and event revenue. When looking at the budget scenario, services wants to break it down even more by looking at the event revenue by both corporate and non-corporate events. So the extensible dimensionality within OneStream allows you to build this out and let the different entities use these accounts in the way they need to, yet have it all roll up correctly for the reporting. And it's really easy to manage too. So for example, if I needed to add another account, say for other outside sales, I can simply add it one time. It can be shared to each different entity, and they can use it as needed across their different scenarios. So I'm going to jump into OneStream and kind of show you what this looks like kind of in a live setting. So for example, I'm now going in as the CEO. I'm going to go into my reporting, and I will be brought into an executive overview. Now, the executive overview is going to provide me a high-level KPI look of the organization. I'm going to change things over to the total company since I'm just looking at Houston. So here I can see a bunch of different information. I can see my gross margin development. I can see my EBITDA development, my budget versus my actuals with everything that's happening in between. These are just example dashboards that we built for demo purposes, but these can look any way that you need them to look, showing whatever information you needed to show. I want to look at this return on asset percentage. It's negative 1.6. So I want to drill a little bit deeper. Now, our dashboards can be built to be interactive so that you can bring up further information when interacting with them. When I did that, I'm bringing up a lot of different KPI data here across multiple scenarios. So I have my actuals, my budget, my variance to budget, my variance to prior year. I can see all of this information. I'm actually going to go and I want to look at this return on asset percentage, and I'm going to drill into this. Now, you can do this drill process from nearly any cell, any piece of data within OneStream. It just takes us to our drill screen, which shows us the account to which we've drilled, and it shows us it shows us the formula for how we're calculating that piece of data, as well as the accounts that are relevant to that. So, for example, I have my net income of my total asset account here. So, in the drill screen, when I drill, and I can do so when it's green, I can see my drill history as well as my results. I'm going to continue to go kind of down the rabbit hole here all the way to net sales. And when I get to net sales, you can see that it's no longer green, which means I can no longer drill operating sales, intercompany, and returns and allowances. This is because I'm approaching this from a corporate perspective, not manufacturing. However, if I want to go and I want to look, I can flex this by entity. So I will go and I will look at clubs, my North American clubs, and look at and go here. Now you can see Houston, where we manufacture golf clubs, now has an additional level of detail. So I can go further in our operating sales. And now I see that whole extra level of detail that I showed you in the slide. So again, this is just the same thing in practice, but if you can see right there, I showed how you can flex that account dimension by the entity dimension to get a whole new level of detail that's important for them. And it all tracks upwards. So with that, I'm going to jump back into the platform, and I want to talk about our unique ability to blend financial and operational data across the entire platform. So, we allow for multiple levels of data to be brought in. We employ, again, a multi-dimensional database structure, a relational database structure, and even a columnar database structure to be able to pull data quickly from nearly like any level. So just as an example, you have your highest level, your financial statement level, and you have your corporate chart of accounts. But then you want to go a step deeper. So through that extensible dimensionality, we can actually dimensionalize other sets of data. So supplier, customer, region, sales region, et cetera. And then as we're bringing in the transactional data via our kind of relational staging tables, you can get even more details like bill of materials, invoice, order number, and SKU. Now, this is going to allow us, this blending of both data and databases allows us to pull information in subsets like revenue by customer and order number, or revenue by customer and SKU. I can also pull my costs by department and employee. Now, these segments of data just tie right into the various solutions on the platform. So, cost by department and employee tie into our people planning functions. Revenue by customer and SKU provides the basis for sales planning. This level of blending also enables what we call financial signaling. Now, financial signaling is the ability to see what's happening in the moment. So performance management has always been focused on what's happened, closing the books, reporting, et cetera, and what's going to happen, planning, budgeting, forecasting. But not enough performance management has actually focused on, hey, what's happening right now? And with this ability to do relational blending, we can show what's happening now for customers. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to go back in as my CEO, and I'm going to go back to my reporting. And this time I'm going to go into my bookings and billings dashboard. So now this is a great example of financial signaling in action. When I look at this particular dashboard, I see the month-to-date billings target attainment. I'll make this a little bit bigger. And when I look at this, I can see my target as represented by the diagonal line. And you can see that for the first 11 or 12 days of the month, I'm exceeding my target and I'm doing okay. But over the last few days, I've actually fallen behind. I can't. So now I want to know, why are we behind? What can we do to fix this? Too often reporting has been limited to end of period, end of month, end of quarter, end of year. So it's hard to get this kind of in action, but this allows for daily signals that we can see this information. When I look at this dashboard even further, take the order to ship days trend. You can see that I have a bunch of orders going out within the 16-day kind of order target there, shipping target. But over the last few days, it's slipping. It's going out beyond that 16 days. So this could be the problem that we saw here. It could be because if you're not shipping, you're not billing. The other thing I'm looking at on this dashboard is sales rep quota attainment. I have a lot of downward red arrows here that indicate that my sales reps are not on target to meet their quota. So this could simply be a sales issue. But in any case, I now at the middle of the month have the opportunity to work with my logistics managers, work with my sales managers, and see if we can right this ship before the end of the month and get us back on target. Another example of this is our AR aging analysis. So, AR typically needs to be either handled within an ERP system or a point solution bolted onto the ERP. It's very hard to get a glimpse of all of that AR data, especially if you're using multiple systems in multiple silos. But we're able to bring that information in and provide a up-to-date look at all of the different AR simply by leveraging our data and our blending capabilities. So here I see my total accounts receivable aging by bucket, balance by customer, even individual invoice details. If I want to look at, say, Easy Sporting Goods, who's my biggest customer, I can simply select them, and then everything else here is going to change based on that particular selection. So, it's very easy to get that information up to date and have it all in one place as opposed to going back and forth between multiple systems. All right. So last thing I want to talk about today is our marketplace. So we talked high level about the core components of our platform: close, consolidation, planning and analysis, reporting. But there are so many different other components that can go into that. And so we have a marketplace which allows for maximum extensibility without adding any additional complexity. So this model allows customers to kind of build out their performance management experience to what they need, what works best for them. So in the marketplace, we have productivity solutions like guided reporting and task manager, which I showed earlier. We have financial close and reporting tools like account reconciliations and transaction matching. And then we have all kinds of different planning methods as well that can be brought in and extend that planning capabilities that we have. One thing to add is that all of the marketplace applications or solutions, I should say, today are free of charge. They offer full-fledged functionality. They're built and supported by OneStream, they just continuously make the platform more extensible. Account reconciliations is probably the most popular one, and that's a really, really good tool because again, it's very good having your account reconciliations in the same platform that you do your actuals, because you don't have to go through that process of loading the trial balance to two places and hoping that they reconcile after doing work in both systems. It can all be done in the one platform. So that was the OneStream. That was the OneStream, how OneStream enables CPM 2.0. Again, through many different ways, but we'd love to have conversations with RCGT as well as you guys and talk a little bit how we can help specifically further.
All right, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. That was very insightful. We have a few questions. The first one is in regards to integration with ERP. The question was around, is it only good for ACP or to replace BPC? And the answer to that is no. Our presentation was toward ACP because we're getting to the end of support for BPC, or at least at the end of enhancement on ACP. So that's why we wanted you to know that there's something else on the market. But OneStream really replace any other CPM tools or connect to any ERP. So I think Steve presented a slide, with all the different systems that it connects to or with. So again, it's really not just for BPC replacement. It's really at large, even though the presentation was more focused on ACP. We have another question that asks, does OneStream have any public sector or federal government customers? And the answer to that is yes, obviously. OneStream has many different customers in the public sector, federal agencies, universities, and those customers are all potential references. RCGT has also a lot of experience working with our government agencies, health industry, and we're also supporting many different cities throughout the province. Would you like to add to that, Steve?
So we do. OneStream doesn't cater to any single one vertical. We can support all verticals because of the open nature of our platform, and we partner with partners like RCGT who do specialize, in verticals over others. We just here in the U.S. we just actually signed our biggest customer today is the United States Army. So that was a major federal government customer that we now have. We already had the Coast Guard, and then and several others. But one thing I do want to note is that you can see here on this slide that we are FedRAMP. We are FedRAMP classified. So actually, OneStream is FedRAMP Medium. FedRAMP's a government-wide program to ensure cloud security for cloud products and services. And we are the only performance management provider who has the FedRAMP Medium status. So we're actually in the process of working to become FedRAMP High with the United States Coast Guard. So whether you're US based or not, the FedRAMP classification just goes to show to the highest level of security that we have that status. So again, if it's good enough for federal, it's going to be good enough for any organization that really cares about security. So
Third question, we have multiple ERP solution, each with a general ledger and different currencies. Can OneStream accommodate our requirements? Again, Steve, if you'd like to answer that one.
Absolutely, yeah. So we that's exactly those are the situations in which we thrive. Most of our customers have multi ERPs. Most of them are global, so they're working in different charts of accounts in different currencies. And you saw with the extensible dimensionality, we're able to have kind of different account structures for those, but still have them kind of standardized for the global reporting. And then the currency, our business intelligence on the platform will allow each entity to kind of handle currency in the way they need to see it. So if they need to see it in local currency, if they need to see it in the corporate headquarters currency, we can do that and translate it just as it needs to be. So again, just the complexity is where we thrive.
Super. So it concludes our webinar for today. We don't have any more questions in the Q&A, but if you think about something, feel free to do so. You still have time. We will answer through email. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Guillaume. Note that you will receive the recordings of the webinar as well as the small survey through emails. So if you can take it some time to respond to that survey, that will be appreciated. So thank you. So thank you for your time, and talk to you soon.
Thank you all.